Hello students and learners, welcome to the new lecture, and in this lecture we are going to discuss few topics. First is cellular respiration. Can energy be released without oxygen? Anaerobic respiration, some experiments with yeast, and we are ending with the fermentation. So let us start about our discussion. Before we begin our lecture, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe to the channel so that you will get notifications when the class is starting. Okay. So the first is the cellular respiration. So what is cellular respiration? Cellular respiration means so in the cells, the glucose molecules is utilized so that to produce energy. The glucose molecules are going to combine with oxygen to produce the energy. It means oxidation of the glucose is occurring along with the carbon dioxide is produced with water also. Okay, so this energy is most important. So here, where this energy is coming from? This energy is coming from the breakdown of the bonds that is present in the glucose, the C6H12O6. So this is the chemical name or the chemical, these are the elements, these are the atoms that is present in the glucose molecule. Okay, so the glucose. If you want to write the structure of the glucose, it will be looking in this way. Okay, so the carbons, oxygen, carbon, carbon, okay, carbon, and here will be CH2OH. And if you want to completely write the formula, OH, H, H and OH, again OH, H, H and OH. Okay, you don't have to remember this formula, you don't have to write this formula in your notebook, but for your for the better purpose of the explanation, we are writing this formula. So here this is the glucose molecule. This glucose molecule is produced in the photosynthesis, and these glucose molecules contains bonds. Can you see? This is the bond, this is the bond, bond and bond. So what is meant by bond? Bond is a force of attraction. It is a force of attraction in the between the atoms. So these bonds are holding these atoms together. So these bonds require energy. So to produce these bonds, energy is released, and if the bonds are broken down, then also energy will be released. So during the cellular respiration, these bonds are getting broken down. If these bonds are getting broken down, what you will see, there is a release of the energy. So the energy will be released. This energy is utilized for the production of the ATP. Okay, so all the ATP is produced. ADP, adenosine diphosphate plus inorganic phosphate, is utilized for the production of the ATP. And in the production of the ATP from the ADP and inorganic phosphate, the energy is required. So from where the energy is getting from? The energy is getting from the breakdown of these glucose molecules. Okay, so this is the most important point. And the next question is, we have the doubt is how the glucose molecules are getting produced. It is the glucose molecules are produced during the photosynthesis. Okay, so during the photosynthesis, these glucose molecules are produced, and in the photosynthesis, the sunlight is utilized for the buildup of these molecules. Okay, buildup of these molecules like a glucose structure. Okay, and these bonds are utilized. The energy from the sunlight is taken to build the bonds between these. So from where the carbons are coming from in these glucose molecules, these carbons are coming from the carbon dioxide gas, which is taken from the atmosphere. So the next is aerobic and anaerobic respiration. Based upon the utilization of the oxygen, there are two processes of the respiration. One is aerobic, another is the anaerobic respiration. So if the oxygen is utilized if the oxygen is utilized, then it is known as aerobic respiration. So during the cellular respiration, if the oxygen is not utilized, then that is known as anaerobic respiration. So in the anaerobic respiration, the word A is utilized, or the word letter A is used. So if the A is used, it is nothing but absence of oxygen in the cellular respiration. Then it is known as anaerobic respiration. So this aerobic respiration, it is cellular respiration. It is going to occur in the presence of oxygen, usually in the cytoplasm. So what is meant by cytoplasm? So let us take the cell. So this is a cell. The cell contains a nucleus. Okay, the cell contains a nucleus, and in the cell, first the glucose molecules are going to enter into the cell cytoplasm. In the cytoplasm, the glucose molecules will be broken down. Again, after the broken down of the glucose molecules, the pyruvates are going to enter into the mitochondria. Okay, the pyruvates are going to enter into the mitochondria, so that to produce more amount of the ATP molecules by breaking the complete structure. Okay, in this process is known as aerobic respiration. Here the oxygen is utilized. Okay, and this process is commonly seen in the eukaryotic cells. Eukaryotic cells means the cells which has the nucleus. So this is the eukaryotic cell which is containing the nucleus, and is a prokaryotic cell, there is no nucleus that is present in. So this is a main difference between the prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells. Okay, so anaerobic respiration is mainly seen in the prokaryotic cells. So why? The reason is the prokaryotic cells do not contains mitochondria. So most of the cell organelles that can be seen in the eukaryotic cells, you cannot see in the prokaryotic cells. So this is one of the main feature that these such kind of respiration is seen. The anaerobic respiration is seen in the prokaryotic cells. Okay, so anaerobic respiration in animals produces lactic acid. For example, if you keep the idli batter or dosa batter over a night, so then in the morning you can see some kind of sour smell and sour taste along with the production of the carbon dioxide molecules. So why such kind of sour taste is coming in the idli batter? That is due to the fermentation. The fermentation process is going on. In the fermentation process, there is no requirement of oxygen. Okay, this is the main reason. So as a result, whether it may be aerobic respiration or anaerobic respiration, there will be a production of the ATP molecules. So the ATP molecules will be more in aerobic respiration. Okay, aerobic respiration, and less in case of anaerobic respiration. Okay, this is only difference. In the aerobic respiration, there is more production of the ATP molecules, while in the anaerobic respiration, there will be less amount of the ATP molecules production. Okay, so next, the breakdown of the sugar releases energy. So just now we have seen the glucose molecules, when the bonds that is present in the glucose molecules are broken down, the energy will be released. That energy is stored in the form of ATP molecules. Okay, it means that energy is utilized in the ADP and inorganic phosphates, so that the ATP and ADP and inorganic phosphate can be turned into ATP molecules. Okay, so this is the main difference between the aerobic and anaerobic respiration. Next, the breakdown of the sugars, release of energy occurs in series of the small steps. So the glucose plus oxygen, that is aerobic respiration, it is going to occur in the small steps. Small steps means many steps are included in it to produce energy. Okay, we will discuss about combustion process also after a moment. And here just now we have seen the ATP molecules are produced. These ATP molecules, if it is broken down, if one ATP molecule is broken down, it is going to produce 7,200 calories. Such kind of energy will be released. This energy is utilized for the metabolic process, or you can call it as a work in the cells. Okay, the cells are utilizing this energy to produce to perform the function. Okay, so the energy stored in the form of phosphate bonds. So ATP means what? So let us consider this is a sugar. Okay, this is the sugar and this is the phosphate. Okay, 1 2 3. So total 3 phosphates are present. And also here there will be a base. What is that base? Adenosine base is there. So sugar, adenosine base, and 3 phosphates, hence it is known as ATP. Okay, so what is meant by what about ADP? The same, sugar, nitrogen base, that is adenosine base, and also 2 phosphates are present. Why? Because it is ADP. ADP means di. ADP means adenosine diphosphate. So only 2 phosphates are present. That hence it is known as ADP. Okay, adenosine diphosphates, 2 phosphates are present. It contains less energy, hence it cannot provide energy, and it contains more energy, and the energy is stored in here. Okay, can you see here the energy? The energy will be stored in these bonds. So when the bond is broken down, it is going to turn into ADP, and this energy which is getting from here will be utilized for the metabolic function. Okay, next will be the release of energy. So how the energy will be released? We know that the sugar molecules are going to release the energy. So the sugar molecules release may be 2 types. One may be aerobic and another is anaerobic. So here we can see anaerobic respiration and also aerobic respiration. The first, remember, the glucose molecules will be broken down to produce a pyruvate. So whether it may be aerobic respiration or anaerobic respiration, the first compound produced after the breakdown of the glucose molecules is 2 molecules of the pyruvate. These two molecules of the pyruvates may enter into anaerobic respiration or aerobic respiration. On what conditions? That is only on the absence of oxygen and presence of oxygen. Okay, if the oxygen is present, it is going to enter into the aerobic respiration. If the oxygen is absent, it is going to enter into the anaerobic respiration. Okay, so anaerobic respiration and fermentation can be seen in the absence of oxygen or low oxygen. So this is the main condition. Okay, first, here in the aerobic respiration, the lactic acid will be produced. Lactic acid and energy is produced that can be seen in the bacteria. So, example, in the curd also, in the curd, if you add some little bit a spoon of the curd into a warm milk, after 3 to 4 hours, this warm milk is going to turn into curd. So, what is main reason? That main reason is lactic acid. The bacteria which is present in the warm milk is going to turn the warm milk into curd. Okay, this curd formation is due to the lactic acid. In the presence of lactic acid, the milk will curdle to form a curd. Okay, the energy is also produced. This energy will be utilized by the bacteria. So in the next step is the fermentation. So the fermentation is also a anaerobic respiration, and here in this case the yeast is going to do such kind of process. As a result, the yeast is going to get energy, and also it is going to release the carbon dioxide. So in this case also, in the fermentation process also, we don't need any oxygen. It means the yeast is not going to use any oxygen molecules. Next is the presence of oxygen. In the presence of oxygen, that is known as aerobic respiration. Here the carbon is also produced, water and energy is produced. We have written the equation just now. The glucose molecules plus oxygen going to give the energy plus carbon dioxide plus water. Okay, you can see the same equation over here. It means the components which you can see here is same in this equation. Okay, so this is the main difference, and this is the release of energy in aerobic and anaerobic respiration. So the glucose is commonly used for deriving energy in plants and animals. So whether it may be animal and whether it may be plant, they need energy. So we know that all the time the animals like human beings and other animals are going to produce energy. Okay, they produce energy all the time. But what about the plants? The plants are going to produce the energy in the daytime by using sunlight. When the sunlight is there, they are going to produce the photosynthesis. Okay, when the sunlight is absent, it is going to perform cellular respiration. So this is the main difference. So in the cellular respiration, they are going to use oxygen plus glucose molecules for the production of the energy. Okay, here in the photosynthesis, we know that the sunlight is utilized for the energy. Okay, so whether it may be animal, whether it may be plant, the glucose is main important for the production of the energy. Okay, in the first stage, a glucose molecule is converted into two molecules of the pyruvic acid, or you can call it, instead of calling the pyruvic acid, you can call it as a pyruvate. Okay, the pyruvate, and both are same. Pyruvate or pyruvic acid is same. So in the next step, the oxygen is present in the pyruvic acid. So oxygen is to carbon dioxide, water, and energy, and energy is released. In the absence of oxygen, it is not utilized. It means based upon the presence and absence of oxygen, they may go into the anaerobic respiration and fermentation, or they may go into aerobic respiration. Okay, so such kind of process occurs in the bacteria, and such kind of process occurs in the human beings and animals. Okay, so next, while comparing with the aerobic and anaerobic respiration, okay, aerobic and anaerobic. So what about the energy production? So in the aerobic respiration, there is the more amount of ATP is produced, while in the anaerobic respiration, less amount of ATP is produced. Okay, so which is advantageous? The advantages is more in the aerobic respiration, the advantages is less in the anaerobic respiration. But such kind of anaerobic respiration is done in the yeast and bacteria, and aerobic respiration is seen in eukaryotic cells. Okay, so while comparing it, let us consider the 100% of the energy is produced in the aerobic respiration, but in case of anaerobic respiration, around 10 to 20% of the ATP or energy is produced from the sugars. Okay, it means we can consider that it is very less amount of energy is produced in the anaerobic respiration. So next is can energy be released without oxygen? So energy ATP that is present already will be utilized in the strenuous exercise. For example, if you are doing exercise, so the ATP will be very less. Okay, so it means the energy which is present in the muscles will be utilized already, and hence there is less amount of the ATP, and the muscles are going to do the they are going to do the anaerobic respiration. So in the anaerobic respiration, less amount of energy will be produced. So during this process, during the running or running, or if you are lifting some heavy weights and so on, so in that case the ATP molecules are utilized for the production of the energy, ADP. Okay, energy and ADP. Here also you can see the inorganic phosphate. Okay, so this process is seen in the muscles. Okay, the ATP present in the muscles last about half a second. It is nothing but very less time, and you can observe such kind of a production of the lactic acid and utilization of the ATP by observing the athletes. Athletes means, so the people who are doing some kind of exercises, tennis exercise, or the people who involve in the games and so on. Okay, whether the activity may be bicycle riding or treadmill or so on, such kind of process. So the lactic acid accumulation in the blood during the strenuous exercise will be mostly seen. For example, if a person is running, what you can see, there is a production of the lactic acid. So why the lactic acid produced in the muscles? Why? Because there is no oxygen. It means there is no enough amount of oxygen in the muscles, and ATP is instantly utilized. Hence, there is need of energy. In that case, the glucose molecules will be going to get broken down anaerobically to produce lactic acid and some amount of energy. Okay, in that case, so this is the reason the lactic acid will be built up in the muscles. So as a result, what the person will do, what the person will feel, the person will feel muscle cramps. So muscle cramps means the pain in the muscles. So as a result, the person is going to stop. Okay, so then it will be removed from the blood after exercise. So in that case, the person is going to stop, and he is going to take some rest. So if he is going to take some rest, what will happen? The lactic acid will get decreased in the muscles. As a result, the person will become normal after 30 minutes or after 1 hour. Okay, so during this process, what will happen? Previously there is less amount of oxygen, the oxygen will get increased. As a result, less oxygen will be replaced. So if the less oxygen is there, in that case it is known as oxygen depth. Okay, so what is meant by oxygen depth? Oxygen depth means very low amount of oxygen in the muscles or in the body. Okay, so here also just now we have seen the lactic acid production. So lactic acid production, it is also another advantage is it is going to provide energy. Okay, it is going to provide energy. How much energy? The energy will be very less when compared to the sugar that is going in the aerobic respiration. But what it may be, something is better than nothing. Hence, the lactic acid is producing some amount of energy during the severe conditions like strenuous exercises. Okay, so the anaerobic breakdown of glucose in the muscles is going to produce a lactic acid. The deficiency of oxygen in strenuous exercise is known as oxygen depth, which is recovered later. So when it will be recovered? When you are taking the rest. In that case, the normal breathing will be done. In that case, the oxygen will be again gained in the body. Okay, the next question is, do all cells of the alveoli or lungs require oxygen to carry out the cellular respiration? Whether it may be lung cells or whether it may be blood cells or what it may be, all these cells are going to require oxygen. So even the cells of alveoli or the lungs require oxygen to carry out the cellular respiration. Why? Because the cells also needs energy. Okay, so after undergoing strenuous exercise, we feel pain in the muscles. Why? Because there is a buildup of the lactic acid, so that the person will feel some kind of muscle pains or cramps. Okay, so the answer is no, the adequate oxygen does not reach the muscles so during the strenuous exercises. Okay, so what is being formed in the muscles? So the lactic acid is formed in the muscle cells during the oxygen depth. Oxygen depth means less amount of oxygen. So what was the concentration of lactic acid in the blood to start with? So around it is 200 milligrams per kilometers km3. Okay, so I think it is a cube. Okay, so what was the greatest concentration reached during the experiment? So it will be 101 milligrams per kilometer cube. So these all are the little bit calculations that will be done based upon the looking of the graph. So in the graph you can see, so the lactic acid will be less in the starting, so it will be straight steadily increases and so on. The muscle here there will be a production of the lactic acid is more, and again the person is going to take race and lactic acid is going to decrease very less or very slowly and so on. So this is a graph that is present in the textbook. You can see it. Okay, so in the trend between the point C and D and so on. So this is a question again asked in the textbook. The answer is approximately 55 minutes time will be taken. So what is the high level of lactic acid indicate the condition of the respiration? So the high level of the lactic acid is going to indicate that anaerobic breakdown of the glucose in the muscle cells. Why? Because there is less amount of oxygen during the strenuous exercise. It means whatever the breathing that you are doing, so the sufficient amount of oxygen will not reach to the muscles. If the muscles will not get sufficient amount of oxygen, they are going to break down the glucose anaerobically. Okay, anaerobically means without oxygen. As a result, during this process lactic acid is produced. So this lactic acid is going to release less energy when compared to the sugar. At the same time they are also going to produce some amount of energy. Okay, some amount of energy, and they are going to cause pain also. Why? Because lactic acid is going to going to cause some amount of pain in the muscles. Okay, it is known as anaerobic respiration. So the next is anaerobic respiration. In the anaerobic respiration, the oxidation process of the glucose molecule will be seen. As a result, so the glucose, okay, will be oxidized to produce the carbon dioxide. Okay, in the aerobic respiration, the glucose molecules will plus oxygen is utilized for the oxidation of the glucose. Okay, at the end there is a production of the carbon dioxide also. Okay, so whether it may be anaerobic respiration or aerobic respiration, the carbon dioxide is common. Okay, so and not only carbon dioxide but also energy is common. Okay, so the human muscles release energy when they are the short of oxygen, hence you can call it as a oxygen debt. Some experiment with yeast, it means in this case or in this activity we are going to do one experiment. Okay, that is test for the production of the heat and carbon dioxide under the anaerobic respiration. So we know that the yeast is a unicellular organism. It means the yeast is made up of only one cell. Okay, one cell, that is known as unicellular organism, and it is going to produce carbon dioxide plus energy during the anaerobic respiration. Okay, and you can get the wild yeast. Wild yeast means the yeast that is grown in the garbages or when the decomposing fruit peels or some amount of food material. Okay, and you can get some such kind of yeast. And here a wild yeast can be normally found on the skins of the fruits, and we have to arrange the setup for the experiment. Okay, and here this is the arrangement of the setup. Okay, so first what you have to take, you have to take one flask. Okay, so you have to take one flask that can be used for the experiment, and you have to boil the sugar. Okay, take some sugar plus water, it will become sugar solution, and we have to boil it. Okay, if you boil it, what will happen? Whatever the oxygen that is present, it is going to release out. So here hence the no oxygen in solution, no oxygen in the glucose solution. So now what you have to do, you have to check for the presence of oxygen. Okay, check for the presence of oxygen by adding few drops of Janus green bee. Okay, if you add Janus green bee to the solution, okay, Janus green bee, what will happen? It will show some kind of color. Previously the Janus green bee will be blue in color. So if the blue is there, if the solution is in the blue color, what does it indicate? It indicates that there is no oxygen. So if the oxygen is present, what does it show? It will turns into pink. So it is going to turn into the pink color, so that it is going to show that the oxygen is present in the solution of the glucose. Okay, so we have confirmed that there is no oxygen. Why? Because the solution is blue in color. and now we have to transfer the solution into the flask. Okay, here the flask is there. We have to transfer this solution into the flask, and we have to insert thermometer through the rubber stopper. And after that, before dropping the doing such kind of thing, we have to add the yeast also. The yeast plus sugar solution plus Janus green B. Okay, so previously we have done all these things. Then we have to pour the solution into the beaker or some kind of flask. We have to put one rubber stopper, and we have to insert thermometer through this rubber stopper, and we have to do, or we have to keep them, we have to arrange the delivery tube, and this delivery tube is going to carry the gases. So after that, before we insert all these things, we have to add some amount of paraffin wax. So what is the paraffin wax is? This paraffin wax, previously it is liquid in a state, and when you pour on it, it is going to solidify, it is going to form a layer. Okay, it is going to form a layer. Why? Because we have to prevent oxygen mixing. We have to prevent the oxygen mixing into the liquid solution. Okay, hence when it gets solidified, there is no mixing of the oxygen into the yeast suspension. Okay, now the yeast is going to do some kind of process. That process is known as anaerobic respiration, or you can call it as a fermentation process. So during the fermentation process, what you can see, there is a production of the glucose molecules. The glucose molecules will be broken down to produce the energy plus carbon dioxide. Okay, energy and carbon dioxide, and some amount of alcohol. Okay, some amount of alcohol is also produced. So we have to see whether the carbon dioxide is produced here or not. So now the carbon dioxide during this process is going to come out through the small spaces that is present in the on the paraffin wax paraffin solidified. Okay, the carbon is going to escape, and it will enter into the delivery tube, and its carbon dioxide is going to come and mix into the bicarbonate solution. Okay, so when the bicarbonate solution, or you can call it as a lime solution also. Okay, this lime solution is going to mix with carbon dioxide, is going to form white PPT. Okay, the white PPT or precipitate. So this is going to indicate that carbon dioxide is released. So hence we can confirm that such kind of fermentation is going to produce carbon dioxide. Okay, so and also alcohol is also produced. So you can, if you want to speed up the reaction, you have to warm, or you can raise the temperature around 37 degrees Celsius, so that the speed of the reaction will be increased. Okay, so the question is, what happens when a baker prepares a dough by mixing with yeast, or by mixing yeast in it? So when he is going to do such kind of process, like mixing of the yeast in the dough, the fermentation process will be seen, or the fermentation process is going to start. As a result, when the fermentation starts, what you can see, the volume of the dough is going to increase. Let us consider this a container. The dough is in this level, and after the fermentation, so the dough is going to increase. The size of the dough is going to increase. Why? Because the carbon dioxide will be trapped. Okay, the carbon dioxide will be trapped in the dough. Okay, at the same time, it is going to produce some kind of lactic acid, so that food is going to give some kind of sour taste. Okay, next is the fermentation. So the fermentation is the process of the breakdown of the food material by microorganisms. Example, yeast. This yeast is going to break down the food molecules like glucose, so to produce the energy. Okay, so energy, carbon dioxide, and also sometimes lactic acid or alcohol. Okay, so during the process of the fermentation, the characteristic smell is produced along with the production of the ethanol. In this case, the fermentation, if you use the yeast, some species of the yeast, they are going to produce the ethanol. So this ethanol can be separated from the yeast to glucose mixture. Okay, let us consider this is the container containing the solution. It contains the food material like glucose. It also containing the yeast. Okay, so it is going to produce ethanol. It is a very much important component. So this ethanol has to be recovered, or should be separated from the glucose and yeast suspension, or glucose yeast mixture. So how you can separate ethanol from the glucose yeast mixture? So that is by heating around 70 degrees Celsius. If you heat around 70 degrees Celsius, so what will happen? The ethanol will get vaporized and is going to come out. if you collect the vapors, of the ethanol and cool it, okay, what will happen? It is going to condense and form liquid ethanol. Okay, liquid ethanol. So this is a process how you can collect. So you have to boil the solution, the around 70 degrees Celsius. Ethanol is going to boil and it is going to come out. So when it is going to come out, the vapors will be collected and these vapors will be cooled down, and after cooling down, these vapors will turn into liquid. Okay, and this is about it. And next is the fractional distillation. The fractional distillation is a process of the separating the liquids from the mixture of the solution according to their boiling point. So first of all we have to understand what is meant by boiling point. So boiling point means in this condition the liquid plus vapor, or you can call it as a gas, the liquid and gas will exist together. Okay, for example, take the water. Okay, take the water and boil. So at 100 degrees Celsius, the water is present. Okay, plus vapor. Okay, water vapor is also present. Means in this degree Celsius, at this temperature, you can see both liquid and also gaseous condition. That is known as boiling point. So this is one of the reason we call it as the 100 degrees Celsius, the boiling point of the water. Okay, then next, what about melting point? Melting point means, let us consider 0 degrees Celsius. At 0 degrees Celsius, the water will be at solid condition or solid state, plus at the same time it will be in the liquid condition. It means the ice is going to start melting. Okay, so at the 0 degrees Celsius, you can see solid state of the water and liquid state of the water. This is known as melting point. Hence, that is known as melting of the ice. At 100 degrees Celsius, in that condition, the water will boil. The water liquid state will be seen and gaseous state will be seen. That is known as boiling point. So at 70 degrees Celsius, in case of ethanol, so remaining water will be in the liquid state only. The water will not get vaporized, but this ethanol is going to get vaporized. Why? Because its boiling point is 70 degrees Celsius only. At this 70 degrees Celsius, complete ethanol will get vaporized and it will come out. You can collect that vapors and cool it down to get the liquid ethanol. Okay, fermentation is also a process of the energy production when there is no supply of the oxygen. Okay, if there is no supply of the oxygen, the fermentation process may get initiated. So here the question is there, respiration is a energy releasing pathway. Do you agree? So justify your answer. Yes, it is the energy releasing pathway, and the statement given in the question is correct. Okay, yes, energy is the respiration is the energy releasing pathway. Okay, and I hope this lecture is helpful to you, and if you haven't subscribed, subscribe to the channel so that you will get notification when the class is about to start. Like, share and comment, and if you have any doubts or questions, post it in the comment section below and we will reply to that. And in the next lecture we are going to discuss about the cellular respiration. Okay, it means we are going to discuss from the cellular respiration topic. Okay, we will see you in the next lecture.